Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Bushman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the individual life path forecast for the new moon solar eclipse that's happening on October 14th or 15th, depending on where you live within the world. So we have officially entered eclipse season. So this is big energy. And now with these eclipses, we have an eclipse on the 14th, 15th, obviously, the new moon solar eclipse that we'll be talking about today. And then at the end of the month, I believe on the 29th, we have a lunar eclipse. So we'll talk about that as it gets closer. But these eclipses are big energy. And so this new moon eclipse could be bringing in a new storyline that we'll be working with for the next 6 months, next year, or for the next 18 months. And the eclipse at the end of the month, which we'll go into more detail about as it gets closer, has a likelihood to potentially close out a cycle we've been moving through for the last 6 months or a year or 18 months. And so you'll know as it pertains to your own storyline, sort of how it's affecting you, how it's coming in. But this new moon solar eclipse, again, has the potential to sort of unfold over the next 6 months or up to a year, potentially. And so pay attention to what comes in for you. Now, you may not see it come to full fruition or hit you like a lightning bolt on the day of. However, you can kind of come back to this reading potentially and see it as what was initiated, what was something that came in sort of as an understanding that, okay, this is the storyline. This is the seed that the story is going to be planted around. Because you'll have some kind of indication. It's very likely that you'll have some kind of indication as far as what this storyline is going to be about. So again, it's going to be an unfolding. So be patient with yourself as you move through it. Be open to what and who comes in for you over the coming months, because it's all going to be relevant and it's all going to play into a bigger storyline. So without further ado, let's take a look. Life Path 7. So this eclipse is bringing in some really beautiful energy for you all to work with. You've got the energies of the 11-2 and the 3, as well as the animal wisdom message from spider energy. So this is all about creativity and sharing your unique individual gifts within the world, right? And really focusing on and honoring your unique gifts. So with the 11-2 and the 3, again, the 11-2 is all about inspiration. So what inspires you? What lights you up? What feeds your soul? These are the things that you're really going to be meant to shine a light on and continue to focus on over the next 6 months to a year. And it sort of requires this conscious effort to really tune in with yourself, to make sure that what you're committing yourself to, what you're putting your name behind, really lights you up, really inspires you, right? And is not draining you. If it takes your inspiration away, if it's draining you, then I think you're really going to feel the pressure over the next 6 months to a year to start to release those things, to let them go, and to focus your energy more on the things that bring you joy, get you excited about life and, what you're doing and your contribution into the world. And truly the only way that we can do that is by honoring our uniqueness, right? Like what's different about us? What do we have to contribute that, others don't have? And yes, there's this thread of, we're all connected, but we're also very unique in our own way, hence the ego, right? Hence our own perceptions and perspectives and unique experiences. All of that contributes towards us extracting an enormous amount of wisdom on this journey. And it's what we do with that wisdom that ultimately makes the difference, right? Through our contributions. And so with the 11-2 being highlighted at a solar eclipse, new moon, right? New initiations, new starts. There's really, I think, going to be an emphasis at least over the next 6 months, of really being very honest with yourself. Where is it that you're trying to maybe fit in? Where is it that you are sacrificing or over-compromising your own uniqueness, your own, like, what really lights you up for other people's comfort, right? Or their acceptance or validation or whatever. So if there are areas in your life where you are not honoring your uniqueness and what really makes you happy, I think you're going to really feel that over the next several months. Then with the 3 energy, this is just sort of compounded or sort of really emphasizes this creativity. 3 energy is all about creation, creativity, creative life force. And so again, it's going to ask you, where is it that creative life force is blocked or isn't moving through you? And it doesn't have to be about career or purpose. It just means that, as creative beings, this energy is meant to be fluid, is meant to be moving through us. We're meant to be taking the unmanifest and manifesting it in our own unique way. And that, of course, that's going to be different. Of course, it's going to be, people aren't going to understand it until it's done. And maybe even then they still won't. But that doesn't matter. What matters is, first of all, did it inspire you? Does it light you up? Second of all, does it feel unique for you? Like, do you feel like you're able to express yourself creatively? And I think that this is going to be a really big theme. And again, even if that's through a hobby, through just, taking some time to yourself and honoring what wants to be birthed through you. And not leaving that for sort of when you have quote unquote time, or when you're like rewarding yourself. Like, it really is meant to be such a big part of your experience. And so the areas where you're neglecting that in your own life, you'll probably see pressure be put on that to help you to start expressing this creativity in a way that feels authentic and true for you, regardless of how other people view it or what they have to say about it. You could also see with the highlight of the 3 energy is, this is interesting because you have the 11-2, which is inspiration, right? The inspirational leader. Then you have the 3, which can, of course, be about creation, creativity, but it can also be about communication, the written and the spoken word. So 7s, I think that there is definitely something here about being very sort of conscious of the words that you're putting out into the world during this period of time, right? Like, whether it's through writing, whether it's through speaking, a conversation, whatever the case may be, there needs to be this sort of element where your message has the intent to uplift and inspire. I think that over the next period of months, if you are using your words to suppress or to retaliate or to be vindictive or cut people down or oppress, which I don't think any of you are, but if you were, I think you would see that sort of boomerang back to you pretty quickly, to be cleaned up. Because this is such powerful energy for inspiration and creation. And ultimately, there's, one of the bases of numerology is that each letter holds a vibration. So you put those letters together into a word, and that word has power. There is like a strong vibration behind that. And when we move energy in that way, it's going to have an impact. And so regardless of what, you may hear, words have impact, right? And sometimes it's the words that last longer than the physical experience. So there's definitely something here about being very mindful about how you're communicating. What does that look like? Does it feel good for you? What's the impact on the other person? Now, again, you don't have control over how that person digests that information or how they take it, or et cetera, but you are fully aware of your intention behind your words. So I do think that there's something here about, and this also goes for ourselves. So if you be very mindful about how you're speaking to yourself, because again, are you inspiring yourself through your words? Are you uplifting? Are you empowering? Or are you beating yourself up? Are you tearing yourself down with your words? So there's a lot here around this. And I think that you will find, of course, life presents us with what we need to be able to make the adjustments and the modifications that push us into our higher alignment. So, those things will come if there's a place where you're out of alignment with this. But I do think that it does help to be very aware of your intention behind your words, to yourself and to others. So you may see changes in the way that you communicate over the next 6 months to a year. So pay attention to that as well. This could also be a very social time and a collaborative time. The 2 energy, the 3 energy, this is all about connecting and working with other people, right? Networking, etc. So you could see big creative projects take off over this period of time where you're working with other people. The last thing I want to talk about, of course, is spider. And so this, of course, just makes me think about the spider creating its own web, right? Its own experience. And so if it doesn't like that web, or if that web is not attracting the nutrients that it needs, then it's going to either tear down that web and start over, or make modifications to that web. So ultimately, you are the spider, and, your inspirations, your creations are your web. And if you don't like those creations, if they don't feel aligned with your higher self, your higher calling, then I think you'll feel the pressure to sort of make amends if you're not getting the nutrients out of it, right? If you're not seeing the rewards or the gratification or the inspirations come from what you're putting out into the world, then this is going to be, I think, a strong period for reevaluating that web and potentially tearing it down, moving and starting over, or just making modifications to it that feel good for you. But ultimately, you're the web weaver. So if it's not working, then it's up to you to, adjust your web, so to speak. But I do think that there's a lot here coming in about creativity and creation and your unique contribution in the world. Also, your communication style and your words, I think, will be coming into the spotlight, especially if they are, if they need a little bit of TLC, right? So big, 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 powerful energies with this new moon solar eclipse, for sure. Of course, the energy can be there. It's what we do with it. But I think you're going to feel the pressure in the areas that sort of are ready and raring to go. So I hope it's a great eclipse for you all. Take care, sevens. Bye for now.